You're listening to Dots, Lines, and Destinations, a travel podcast with hosts Stephen Seagraves, Fosma Moon, and Seth Miller. Hello, and welcome to episode 565 of Dots, Lines, and Destinations. I'm Stephen Seagraves, joined today by Mr. Seth Miller. How you doing? Good evening, good afternoon, and good night. No, I'm just kidding. Are you getting snow up there?
We got a lot of snow today. Not a lot. We got steady snow today. It was a few inches.
You out there? You've been out there shoveling?
God, no. Why would I do that?
Are you guys not required to shovel your sidewalks?
I don't have a sidewalk. And
that's nice.
The sidewalk on the part that's on the main street is on the other side of the road.
So, not my problem.
Yeah, we play a tiny bit of Frogger when we want to walk into town, but it's... I suppose I could probably shovel so that our mail can be delivered tomorrow without any hazards.
I mean, they never put that in my contract for the USPS. I mean, I put down ice guard on my driveway I feel bad for them because I have a fairly steep driveway. So
our guy walks, but anyway.
Oh, our guy walks too. That's what I feel bad for him. If he had he slipped and ate it, I would feel really bad.
Yeah.
So, Pegasus buys SmartWings / CSA, which is the remnants of Czech Airlines, right?
Correct.
Okay, and it's 154 million euros.
So it's a decent sized deal.
Pegasus is a Turkish carrier, right? They're the leisure carrier, one of them in Turkey.
They're the private airline in Turkey. So there's Turkish Airlines and what formerly known as Andalujet, which is now just AJet, which is owned by the same THY parent company.
Okay.
And then you've got Pegasus, which is actually a private independent airline doing its own thing.
Interesting.
And somehow decided to blow some cash to acquire a decidedly non-competitive airline based out of the Czech Republic.
Yeah, because SmartWings is what remained of CSA and is an operator in the Czech Republic.
They are a Czech airline. If I understood it correctly, they were a subsidiary of CSA, but 737 Maxes, I think, and sort of new airplanes trying to do the thing and not necessarily operating Prague as a hub quite the way that CSA was. But then as things failed at Czech Airlines, they sort of picked up some of that. It's a whole... I'm trying to pull up the schedules now and see if I can find out where they fly. But
yeah, so Travel Service, which started SmartWings, owned 98% of Czech Airlines.
Yeah, but they bought that, and there's a SmartWings Poland and a SmartWings Slovakia. That's interesting.
Yeah.
They bought the remnants of Czech Airlines because the government wanted out and it was not doing well.
Yep.
Decent amount of service out of Prague right now. Tenerife, Valencia. I'm looking at the ones that are basically daily. Double daily to Tel Aviv. 3 times a day to Paris. Double daily to Tel Aviv. Almost double daily to Brussels, Malaga. Daily to Madrid and Bucharest, Dubai. Funchal, Barcelona drops off after that. Palma de Mallorca. Salalah in Oman. A couple times a week.
And then they operate a bunch of charter stuff seasonally.
Yeah. And I'm looking at some very interesting scheduled services, though. Ras Al Khaimah, the other Emirates destination.
Roads.
Yeah, it's an interesting collection of Verde Islands. Cabo Verde. They've got some interesting routes. But they basically pulled together what was a charter seasonal operation and then bought out Czech Airlines, and it went about as well as you might expect there. And then as a result, was struggling, and now Pegasus bought them out, which this seems to sort of maybe be similar to Turkish buying Air Europa or buying a chunk of Air Europa. It's not entirely the same, but I have questions.
But I mean, Pegasus is a low-cost carrier, so I don't see it as the same. Turkish buying a low-cost carrier. Okay, kind of makes some sense.
I mean...
That's what AJet is for, though, I thought.
Well, AJet is for in Turkey, though.
Yeah, fair.
And is Air Europa really a low-cost carrier as opposed to just a secondary airline in Spain?
I mean, I thought they were positioned as a low-cost carrier. I don't know. I mean, doesn't low
Not carrier mean anymore. I think the terms are bullshit anyways.
Well, it's at Spirit. It doesn't mean out of business. I don't,
Hey, they didn't shut down this weekend yet. We're recording Sunday night and they're still operating. So
soon.
Yeah. Despite the questions about that, I think they got a hearing on Wednesday. So we'll see what happens.
So 154 million euros. Do you think Pegasus is looking? I'm looking at this as it's probably just like an asset pull and maybe some of the routes that SmartWings operates out of the Czech Republic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing all the planes are leased, so it's not the worst way to get access to leases, but it's not cheap to do that. Who the hell knows, man? It's a weird one. I understand that SmartWings was, having trouble. I'm not sure that a Turkish airline buying them makes a ton of sense, but whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just money laundering.
Could be just moving. It could be just moving money into the EU.
Yeah, into euros out of Turkish lira.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ryanair and Italy. What's going on with the antitrust case there?
Italy. So this is an interesting one. Italy basically had its competition board or bureau, whatever, investigating Ryanair, arguing that because I won't say it doesn't ever sell tickets through third parties, but because it occasionally does, but because it has such a significant portion of Italian traffic, and it's up to 30% or over 30% now, both domestic and international, that its policy of not selling through third parties as a general rule is manipulation of the market and is a violation of competition rules, right? If they only sell themselves, they've forced their way into or established themselves in a position of having so much control, but not allowing others to participate in the sale is anti-competitive.
Okay.
And what's the most interesting part to me is that apparently the penalty is if they find guilty, I guess is using the term loosely. If they're found in violation of the rules, the penalty is potentially very significant, like 10% of annual turnover or something like that.
Do you think that Ryanair can? I mean, does this open them up to other potential lawsuits or legal action in other EU countries? Because I'm sure the EU shares laws like this across the continent.
I think the issue is that it's how much of a share they have in the market.
Okay.
And so, in Italy, if I'm looking at the numbers here, Ryanair has this month 1.46 million out of 3.3 million seats. So they're at 50 or 48% of the total seats flown for domestic operations. Looking internationally, they're 3.7 million of 13.3 million's total seats. So that's closer to 25%.
So you think because it's such a large stake in the Italian market,
that's the argument that's being made. So, they have such a large position there, and the running half domestic operations of Italy is kind of insane when you think about it.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole different discussion we could have about how much Ryanair is running Italian market share.
And Alitalia is trying, but they've got Alitalia is at 60%, maybe 65% of Ryanair's total capacity.
Who? Which airline?
Sorry, ITA. Inspired by
Alitalia. Yes, brought to you by the ghost of Alitalia.
I look at this thing, man. It's just airline codes. I see AZ, I get excited. I'm sorry.
And then Aer Lingus is flying to Pittsburgh.
They will soon,
which is kind of cool. Pittsburgh's opened their new terminal, their new head house, and it looks nice. And as part of that, they're getting a new flight.
Yeah, this is going to start in summer 2026, 4 times a week, A321LR. I think, we talk a lot about transatlantic service and growth and where it's happening and such. I think the Aer Lingus, particularly with the A321, continues to grow into interesting markets and is pushing the limits on what those planes can do. I think is a fair way to say it.
Yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh is close enough, right, where it's probably not struggling to make it across the Atlantic.
Yeah, no, it's well within is a stretch maybe, but it's within the range, and they don't see any trouble there.
Okay, it's not like pushing into
or anything.
Yeah, it's not like pushing in one of these markets in Central Europe where it would be pushed or
into further west into like Milwaukee or Kansas City or St. Louis or something.
Yeah. So they're doing this 4 times a week. They have their new business class on this, right? Like their lie flat, or not new, but their standard business class seat where it's like 2-1-2, similar to JetBlue's kind of throne seat in the middle type thing.
I believe so. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice product. I think more options for getting across the Atlantic are nice. And is it the XLR, not the LR?
I think it's the XLR. I thought that's all they had.
They do. Actually, no, they have both.
Oh, they do. Okay.
They have an LR, which is the same as the Vantage seat, same as JetBlue. And they have the XLR, which is the same seat. I believe this one is the LR, is what it's scheduled for.
Okay.
But, anyway, inside looks the same. So
very nice. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Boom. I don't really want to, but we probably should.
I mean, we talked about them a couple weeks ago because your wife wanted to fly supersonic with the kiddo.
Should we tell her it's not going to happen anymore?
Well, especially now. Like, here's the thing, right? Like, they got $300 million. That's great for trying to develop, keep the business running and moving forward with possibly having a supersonic airline. I can't believe I said those words out loud. Not actually going to happen, but like moving in that direction. But the deal that they cut is with Crusoe, which is an AI data center infrastructure company.
I just broke my mouth.
Yeah. Who is going to buy 29, 39, some stupid number of power plants from Boom. And basically Boom is going to take their Symphony engine, and instead of using it to push a plane through the sky, they're going to simply burn fuel to make power, make electrons, to coin or crib an AI tech bro phrase. We're going to make some electrons. Steven's in power generation for a career. He's looking at me like he's going to kill me.
Yeah.
They're going to make some electrons and deliver them to AI data centers instead of putting thrust into airplanes.
I mean, I don't have a lot of questions. I have thoughts.
I have one question. Are you effing kidding me? But anyways.
I mean, there's a lot that's happening here. Like, so the way I understand it is they had a jet engine, burns jet fuel.
Right.
I want to know the technological leap from jet fuel to natural gas, because you're not going to power your AI data center using jet fuel.
No, it is natural gas with a option for a quote unquote field service conversion kit to make it even more efficient, which like the rest of the world thinks is completely not going to happen.
So I'm trying to understand that. I mean, what they've actually done is they've reinvented a peaker plant. I think I posted this on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
This is called a peaker plant. For those who don't know, like when you live somewhere that has a lot of demand for power in certain seasons, summer especially, so people turn on the air conditioners, a lot of power companies have built peaker plants. And these are just like small single turbine natural gas plants that burn natural gas. They boil water, they spin turbines, and they put out power. And it's there to give more capacity on the grid when you need more power. That's what this is. I mean, this is essentially a peaker plant. So there's nothing. I mean, the reading the press release was like really disturbing.
Maybe this one doesn't use water. I thought was part of the thing.
So they're just spinning the turbines using the fuel, and like they're just using it like a jet engine and spinning the turbines, and that output is basically they have some magnets that are spinning with it and turning that into electricity. Okay, cool. Okay, so they take out water.
One of the things was like it doesn't need a ton of water. That was one of the compelling things, and they can use them in more desert-like arid environments because the metallurgy allows it to run at full speed in hot environments for longer periods of time, because airplanes require that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Airplanes also do shut down from time to time, and these apparently aren't. So I don't or maybe they are, and they're going to cycle through which turbines are running at different times. They are not the only one who make these. GE engines has a version of one of their airplane engines that does this. There's a couple other people that do it. So like not completely unreasonable. What is beyond the sort of stuff that you've just talked about there, that beyond all of that, what makes me ask a lot of questions is things like Crusoe is talking about how cool they are because they're also putting data centers into space where the physics say, it doesn't actually work very well.
Oh yeah. And you should totally have a jet engine in space.
No, they won't have jet engines for that. They're going to have giant solar panels up there, which are going to be so much more efficient than the solar panels on the Earth. Not true. And it's because it's so cold in space, they won't need any cooling services. So HVAC requirements are limited on their airborne or their spacebound data centers. Spoiler alert, you actually need terrible amounts of infrastructure to cool things in space because there's no air, and air is actually what moves the heat off of the hot stuff, not cold. And that's before you get into all the radiation challenges of circuits in space, which don't work well because radiation. You can't lead line a satellite because it gets super heavy. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I just like looked up some stuff real quick because I was like, okay, who I know that's making peaker plants and things. So there are a couple that do burn jet fuel. There are some makers of these. They're just
super inefficient,
very expensive. There's others that burn diesel oil. Those are being phased out.
Okay.
There's also a system called heat recovery steam generation. So that's like you add it to the exhaust from the peaker plant, and you actually take the heat to boil more steam. So you actually have like a turbine that you put on the exhaust, and that's what spins with steam to create more power.
It's all. I mean, I think the conclusion here is this is all bullshit. But now they're an AI company, so it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think what people need to understand is like peaker plants really aren't where it's at anymore when it comes to like it's kind of a discouraged way of meeting grid needs. Like batteries are the big thing now.
And one of the challenges with this whole thing is like trying to bring it back to vaguely boom supersonic related is not only is this going to get the 300 million going to let them finish developing Symphony so they have the engine that's going to run Overture, the airplane, but it's also the profits from selling these, and I forget what they call them, but the power plants, which they're going to be able to make 100 a year by 2030. The profit from selling those is going to fund the development of the airplanes, which is an interesting strategy given that this one contract they have is worth $1.3 billion, $1.2 billion, something like that. It's going to take many billions of dollars to develop the airplane. And most of the revenue that they're going to get from this thing isn't going to start until, I assume, they start delivering the hardware, which is going to be ostensibly 2027. So, and oh, by the way, I believe the first plane was supposed to roll off the line in 27 or mid 28, something like that. Like, none of these numbers add up. Nothing lines up. And yeah, but the world went crazy for it.
Yeah, I mean,
or the usual went crazy for it.
I don't know that they could sell enough of these to really be
correct.
It just doesn't make it. The finances behind it just don't make any sense to me.
There is, and I know you said batteries is the big thing and moving in some of those directions. There is a shifting sort of off-grid-ish or local grid-ish approach to data center development where people are trying to get the power on-prem rather than having transmission lines and having to pay interconnects and things like that, or having to deal with moving the power. So this is theoretically helps address that, but it also creates the problem of like, now, not just a data center in your neighborhood, but a data center with huge power plant facilities in your neighborhood. And like, they're not quiet.
No, I mean,
it's a giant jet engine spinning.
Yeah. It's a high pitched whine all day long.
Time. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. Not a fan. All right. We've talked enough about Boom. Hawaiian, One World.
Sorry.
Yes. Hawaiian and One World, April 22nd.
That seems to be the date where that's happening.
Why does this matter? I guess is the question. One, isn't Alaska part of One World, and isn't Hawaiian becoming
Alaska?
Isn't Hawaiian becoming Alaska in April?
I think that's basically what this is that it all goes on the same operating certificate then, so they're going to be there. But some routes, some services are still going to be branded as Hawaiian.
Okay.
And so I guess it matters for that. Like, is April the actual cutover where like everything will actually operate as an AS code?
That's what it's supposed to be. I don't know if that's still the plan, but that was what was originally communicated.
So I don't know that this really matters, but certainly we have a target for when things are going to be more aligned and the benefits actually happen where they need to for consumers. So let's call it vaguely a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the upside is like if you're a Hawaiian flyer, you can use One World lounges then as a Hawaiian flyer if you've got like status with Hawaiian. I don't know.
If you're a One World flyer today flying to Narita or Seoul, do you not get lounge access technically?
If you're on Hawaiian, you don't get
Hawaiian adult.
You don't get Hawaiian. Let me talk this through. If you're flying Hawaiian to like Sydney, and then onward.
No, I was going to say even Seattle to Narita, which is...
I think you would in those cases because it's actually operating as an Alaska code share.
Does code share get you in? If I'm a BA Elite member, do I get in? Like,
it's a good question. I mean, that could be something that's coming with all this.
Yeah.
If our listeners know, I'd be interested to know. Because I know, like, if you were flying Hawaiian to Sydney, then onward to somewhere else on Qantas, would not get lounge access because they're not part of One World.
Right.
So, but I don't know how it works on the flights out of the U.S. for Alaska.
Yeah.
So, Lufthansa is rumored to be selling some 748s, which just blows my mind.
I mean, they're more than 10 years old now. It's sort of time to move on, isn't it?
But this is the same airline we've talked about on this show that is struggling to find planes.
And parts for those planes.
And here they have a fleet of 748s. I mean, granted, it's a lot of seats, but they have a plane that works. And they're going to sell them.
I'm trying to find, there's a note about what the plan was for, Wikipedia, about like what they're planning to do with the fleet. Here we go. They are shifting so that by 2030, they want to reduce the number of fleet types they have. And that means, in theory, and some of these things have shifted, and this came out in their capital markets day, their investor day at the end of September. 346s die next year, 332s die next year, 763s die next year, 744s go away in 27, 343s in 27, and 777-200s in 28. And this is for the whole group. So the 777-200 is not operated by Lufthansa, but by Austrian, maybe?
Yeah, Austrian.
But this also assumes that the 779s are going to show up, so you never know. And there's a question mark next to A380, which I kind of love. They only have like a dozen of them, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So, like, getting rid of them isn't the stupidest thing in the world. And it is a lot of seats, but also, and they're very premium heavy, but, 80 business class seats on board is a lot. But, 19 planes. I guess the question is, are they ones that they can keep flying reasonably reliably without needing to, keep 4 on the ground for spares?
Fair. I mean, I think the ultimate pivot here would be if they like bought a bunch of Thai A346s. I'm just saying.
And bring those and keep the 346s around instead?
Yeah. I think John Walton would agree with me.
Yeah. Be excited. I'm not sure it's a good idea.
Hey, I didn't say good idea. I just said ultimate pivot.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. They're looking to reduce the number of plane types that they have, and this is a way to do that. And it's a lot of seats that maybe they don't need in every market or in a lot of markets. So it's the first one to go.
Yeah, but I mean, it only makes sense if you can actually get rid of, if they have other planes that will actually keep flying.
Yeah.
All right, like Korean actually sold off a handful of its 748s, but those went to the U.S. or a contractor for the U.S. government to build the next E-4B, the Doomsday planes, right?
Yep.
So like they've got 11 that they could unload. There's not that many 748s in the world in general. That's part of the challenge.
Yep.
And some Koreans are actually cargo even. So I mean, maybe we start to see some 748 cargo conversions. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm thinking about how this all.
They can't sell them until they can't. Can't is a strong word. They probably shouldn't get rid of them until they have other wide bodies available.
Yeah.
And right now, none of the wide bodies are showing up on time. Some of the ones that are showing up still have seats they can't actually use. Right? 787 business seats are still not in service, if I understand correctly. So,
yep.
I know what the hell are we doing here?
Yeah. I gotcha. And then lastly, San Francisco Adelaide on United started. This is kind of cool. Yeah, it started on the 11th. The outbound was on the 11th. Leaves like 11 p.m. Gets in at 9:30 a.m. 2 days later.
Yeah.
It's the westernmost, I guess, Australian flight from the United States. So it's pretty long. I think it's like 14 and a half hours. So it's a little bit longer than Melbourne. And I think it's the first flight from the United States to South Australia, like that whole province, or I don't know what they call them, their states. Interesting territory. Yeah. Pretty cool. It doesn't operate daily. It's like 3 or 4 times a week. So it's kind of nice, but that started up, and I'm interested to see what the loads are like coming back to the US. Talking to people I know, there's not a strong desire from Australians to go to the United States. So I don't know how this route does. I mean, I think it's really aimed at Americans and Australians living in the United States going back to Australia. I don't know the other way. So
no, and I think I have to assume it's partially subsidized by the Adelaide.
I would think so.
Side of things. I don't know if it's government or what, but there's got to be some revenue guarantees or commitments there. So, good luck.
Yep. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we should say thanks to a couple of our new Patreon supporters, Jonathan M, Jamie J, Peter D, and Yuho S. Yeah.
Thank you for supporting us. In the bonus topics for our Patreon supporters, we're going to talk about JetBlue's new lounge, and some other news with JetBlue, including Seth's 25 for 25.
Might actually be done.
We'll see. Austin becoming a base for Southwest, beyond global ambitions, and Qantas. Some Qantas news there. So stick around for that. If you're not a Patreon supporter, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting the show in general. We appreciate it, and we will talk to you next time. Happy travels.
Take care.